Hello friends, just a couple of days ago there was a video about mass deportations. In this one we'll look at more local cases and Ukrainians stood out. But we'll also talk about how the state machinery gets rid of persistent offenders. We have 3 illustrative cases of deportation. These are criminal businesses, drunken troublemakers, and of course a migrant smuggler. Watch the video until the end, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. It's important. Make sure you've turned on the notification bell. Well, let's get down to business. So the first story is about a citizen of Ukraine, a sunny, beautiful country. And what does the border guard write to us? This woman, this lady, systematically ignored Polish law for several years. Her last name regularly appeared in the police reports of Zakopane. There was petty hooliganism, foul language, and classic domestic scandals. It even came down to 2 actual court convictions in the verdicts of the local court for cruel treatment of her loved ones. Yes, by the way, it's impossible not to notice the medical aspect here. She caused disturbances while under the heavy influence of alcohol. With severe addiction, a person simply loses self-control. Well, I believe that a person should understand where the legal boundaries are and where their own destructive habits begin. But we're not justifying anyone here. The law is the law. Okay. And at first, the state acted surprisingly leniently. Because not everyone is that lucky. They issued some fines, held some talks. But when personal problems turn into a real threat to others, the state is like, listen, buddy, we don't care about your inner motives anymore. Come on, offender, calm down. And no one wanted to keep spending budget money on endless investigations anymore. That's why the police and border guards chose the most cost-effective way to solve the problem. They issued deportation orders without any sentiment. They handed them out with the note immediate enforcement. That is, they were escorted under guard to the Medica border checkpoint. They expelled them and said, return in 5 years, that's all. If you behave yourself. What's the conclusion? The state's punitive apparatus works precisely when public order is violated too blatantly. Expulsion. Well, friends, for repeated antics, that's it. I think I have one question. Why so late? Well, once you were warned. Well, twice. Well, 3 times. Come on, man, calm down already. But no. But this went on for years, and sometimes Poles are too kind where they shouldn't be. Next, expulsion for repeated antics. Employees of the Guardians of Starnov. Next story. A decision was made to deport a 26-year-old citizen of Ukraine. Well, this guy's a fool. 26 years old. That's just the age to end up at the front. The young man was officially recognized as a threat to public order and state security. Plus, he was banned from entering Poland and other Schengen countries for 10 years. And all because he has a rich background and a bunch of convictions for crimes, let's just say, not of the lowest kind. So, what was this fine fellow involved in? Participation in an organized crime group. Man, some guy Soma pulled this on him. He was deported immediately. There was a guy here who was part of an organized crime group that set up a whole system for forging documents. According to the case files, he personally took part in making and selling forgeries. At least 70 fake driver's licenses, plus fake residence permits, various certificates, and all sorts of other documents. Well, alright, counterfeiting is bad enough, of course, nothing good about that. But drug dealing? Besides that, the person was involved in the distribution of significant amounts of various mind-altering psychotropic substances, marijuana, hashish, mephedrone, and so on. I don't even know what that abbreviation stands for anymore. According to the court's calculations, the scale of this criminal business was measured in dozens of kilograms. And of course, the cherry on top, drunk driving, just to complete the picture. He had a DUI. The nature and scale of these actions, in my opinion, indicate a complete and persistent disregard for law and order. The citizen posed a real and immediate threat to public safety. But for some reason, the Polish authorities also took a long time to decide. They issued him a deportation order without granting the right to voluntary departure. In short, they cut him off and said, come visit us in Schengen in a few years. And on top of that, we'll add you to the Schengen Information System, SIS. The ending was predictable. Everyone was escorted to Medica, where he was safely handed to the Ukrainian side. He's probably already at the training center. Or maybe he's already at the front lines. Alright, moving on. We have our third story, friends. Here's another classic example of how the state apparatus, without any sentimentality, gets rid of characters who, for some reason, confuse hospitality with complete lawlessness. This one involves a 43-year-old Ukrainian citizen in Lesser Poland Voivodeship. Let's just look at the facts. The man also systematically ignored Polish laws. His record includes not just fines, but criminal charges. I don't know how, after the second one, he still wasn't thrown out. Blatant disregard for a court order banning him from driving. And why was this imposed on him? Because he was caught driving under the influence. So the judges told him directly, you can't drive. To which the man reasonably decided for himself that this doesn't concern him. He needs to get somewhere. So what? Should he walk? What? Is he an idiot? We can assume alcohol problems and a total lack of self-control. If someone keeps driving drunk despite a ban, they likely have an addiction. Still, we're not justifying anyone. A drunk driver, in my opinion, is a potential killer, regardless of their passport. In the end, the police in Oświęcim lost their patience. They detained him and handed him over to the border guards. The border guards thought about what to do with him. The citizen's stay in the country was deemed undesirable. The deportation order was issued the same day, plus a 5-year ban on entering the Schengen area. He was escorted to Medica and expelled from the country. 43 years old, which is exactly the average age of the current draft in the armed forces of Ukraine. The choice is simple and the conclusion is simple. Systematic disregard for the courts and endangering lives on the road end the same way. Deportation. That's how you end up, damn it.
Why?
Friends, do you know why this happens? In part because you don't like or repost. I only get about 2,000 or 3,000 views there. People don't even know that in Poland you can't drive drunk. If they watched my video, they'd know. We'll be watching. What's next? I lied. I said I had 3 stories, but I actually have 4. Next is an example of how the law of supply and demand in the illegal services market clashes with the harsh punitive apparatus of the state. The Polish-Lithuanian border, the frontier. First, the facts. Officers of the Podlaski unit of the border guard had a productive workday. They detained an entire group of illegal migrants. A Moroccan, 6 Somalis, and 9 citizens of Afghanistan. They all entered Poland on foot across the Lithuanian border. But here's the most interesting part. I think the logistics are the most interesting part of this scheme. In the area of the village of Kryvyiany, border guards, together with a member of the Territorial Defense Forces, stopped an Audi car. At the wheel was a 30-year-old citizen of sunny Ukraine. He immediately admitted honestly, yes, I work part-time as a courier. I came to pick up a shipment, a live shipment. The system worked without unnecessary budget expenses and without delays. All 16 illegal migrants were promptly processed and under the readmission agreement were handed back to the Lithuanian side. Deal with these guys, decide what to do with them. Well, the unlucky driver who was transporting them remained at the disposal of the Polish justice system. Of course, he faces criminal charges for organizing illegal migration. The conclusion is simple. Doing business by violating state borders in Poland is a risky thing. The low-level operatives will always be scapegoats here. Yes, don't be surprised later. So, friends, that's basically it. That's the summary. Yes, the Ukrainians have brought this upon themselves. And then they're surprised, yes, and of course the press blows it all out of proportion because obviously when 1 million Ukrainians, 2 million Ukrainians are in Poland, well, damn, it's clear that someone is going to commit a crime. Well, friends, that's the information. All right, thank you very much for your attention. Please like, leave comments, write the city where you watched from. That's important. Friends, that's all for now. See you next time. Where do I turn this off? To be continued.